Okay, welcome back to Physical Science, to Velocity Equation Part 2. If you watched the first video, I went through the four-step method for these three variable equations using velocity equation, explained why we call it velocity, stuff like that. Now we're really just going to see a couple different versions of this equation. So it depends on what your unknown is. When you're given these story problems, or maybe given the direct variables, but often given these story problems, it's up to you to pick up out the variables. So if I say, if I'm not very nice to you, the meanest I could be is I could give you a story that little Johnny is driving a car at 60 meters per second for 10 seconds. How far did little Johnny go? I never once in that story used the words velocity, distance, or time, but you should be able to use the units as hints. 60 meters per second. The only time you're going to have meters per second, distance divided by time, is if that is your velocity. So that's going to be your 60 meters per second. I said, how far did he go at the end? Far is a measure of distance, so that's going to be my unknown. And I said for 10 seconds. 10 seconds. Seconds is a measure of time. So that's how I know that it is my t, 10 seconds. That's step one. Identify your variables. If you identify your variables correctly, it tells you which equation you need to use. V, D, and T. I am going to use my velocity equation of V equals distance divided by time. However, you do want your unknown variable all by itself. So, little hint here, if you want one of the ones on the right side all by itself, the only way to undo division, hopefully you remember from algebra, is multiplication. I can multiply both sides by t. So I'll do that with another color here. Multiply both sides by t times t. Cancels out. Times t. And just to make it look a little bit better, I'm going to write off to the side now. Distance equals velocity times time. That's the second version of my equation. Got there algebraically. And now I can plug everything in. So distance is my unknown. It stays as a d. Step 3. Velocity is 60 meters per second. Need your units in step 3. Times 10 seconds. This gets important once again. The times, the multiplication, anything, division is undone by multiplication. So I know if I have meters divided by seconds times seconds, it gets canceled out. And I know that my distance is going to be measured in meters. That's how I get my units, by doing step 3 properly. 60 times 10. Hopefully you can do that in your head. If not, grab a calculator. 600 meters. There you go. If you're at home, need a calculator, remember Desmos Scientific Calculator is a great calculator to use. Let's get one more example. I'm going to go a little faster since these are only 5-minute videos. Okay, so another story problem. This time I want to solve for t, so I'm going to say how long did it take for a glacier to move 1 meter at a velocity of, let's say, 0.1 meters, 0.1 meters per hour. Meters per hour. Times are unknown. So once again, we don't want our unknown alone. How I undo multiplication is with division. Divide both sides by the unwanted one. And my new equation becomes, once again, grab me a new color, becomes t equals d divided by v. Start plugging things in. T is still my unknown. D is 1 meter. V is 0.1 meters per hour. So time is going to equal 1 divided by 0.1. Grab your calculator. Is 10. And meters divided by meters per hour. It looks really funky. I can go over it if you want. But for right now, believe me, divided by cancels out, and you're left with hours. Algebra does work, but I'm just going to kind of gloss over that for the purposes of our class. Hopefully that helps. It's the end of my videos on explaining this. Get lots of practice and get good at this stuff. See you later.